How should we classify the more than 10,000 species of bird which are alive today? Well, certainly birds have been branching from their ancestral groupings for tens of millions of years, going back to the Mesozoic era and the age of the dinosaurs. However, the earliest groups of birds are no longer alive today, many having perished in the same mass extinction which wiped out the dinosaurs. So really, the diversification of birds began just before or just after the end Cretaceous extinction, at least the diversification of the birds which are alive today. The bird groups which are the oldest branches of the avian family tree still alive today are easily recognized. These would include the paleognathous birds such as ostriches, rheas, and tinamous, and then some bird orders such as the galliforms, the chickens and their kin, the anseriforms, the ducks and their kin, and others. The problem resides in the classification of one bird order specifically, the passerine birds, the order Passeriformes. This has more than half of modern bird species, including these small songbirds. How are the more than 5,000 species in this bird order to be classified? Well, they are clearly broken into separate families. And while the classification of these families can change from time to time, how many families, which are subfamilies and superfamilies, etc., a bigger question is, how are these families related? What is the larger taxonomic scheme? Well, very often it is genetic information which is used to set up these taxonomic branching groupings by comparing the sequences of DNA molecules, of protein sequences, including the study which is used here. This then gives us an organization of bird taxonomic groups. What is evident in studies like these is that the passeriform birds, the songbirds, which represent half of all modern birds, are not equally related to all other birds. That, for example, they are more closely related to parrots and parakeets than they would be to, say, raptors or chickens or ducks. And then within the order Passeriformes, there is a nested hierarchy of relationships, a branching of the family tree, which began in, we believe, the Eocene epoch to produce different suborders, including the suborder Tyranni, which is more common in the southern continents, although the tyrant flycatchers include the phoebes and pewees and kingbirds in our areas. This area is far more diverse in southern continents. And then the suborder which includes the majority of songbirds, the suborder Passeri. The suborder Passeri can then be subdivided into infraorders, superfamilies, and once again, these birds are not equally related to each other. There is a nested hierarchy of relationships, with some being more closely related to each other than they are to others. Many of the families, superfamilies, occur only in specific parts of the world, such as some being native to New Guinea only, or to Australia and New Guinea, or to Southeast Asia, or to the Old World. Now, obviously, birds are capable of flight and can travel, so sometimes there are a few members of a group which is largely known in the Old World, which are present in the New World and our area. The majority of the songbirds which exist in North America are actually a very late group to evolve, the very last branch of this family tree given here. And so the majority of the families, we believe, arose in the Miocene epoch, which is very recent. And the relationships between these families given here form this nested hierarchy of relationships.